Haidong! In this video, we're going to talk about the application of our 45 block. Just to make sure we're on the same page, right? So we're talking about forms 3 and form 4, at least the beginning portions of those, although this happened later as well. So for example, right? Someone is coming in, 45 block, cut, back up. Right, so that was the beginning of form 3. So again, I call it 45 block because it's going on a 45-degree angle kind of thing. So again, 0, 90, 45. Also, 0, 90, 45. So this is a nice, 45-degree block. So let's actually talk about like what these techniques are doing, right? So this block is going to be a little bit different from the others from your previous forms, right? So in form 1, no canonical block, right? So I talked about using a broadside, which is a type of block, right? So it's kind of deflection. In form 1, there's no like official block in form 1. Form 2 has what we call passive blocks, which means I just have the blade out there, right? So I just have the blade, they make contact and slide off, and then I maybe counter. Or, depending on the application, you can also do a sweeping block or whatever. But form 3 is where we have the first canonical active block. So this is me going in to strike something out of the way for me to, again, strike the opponent. So this is assuming that we're both coming up from a kinjok, so again, a nice defense position, and we're trying to, again, navigate around a blade pointed towards me, right? So the first application is going to be the most straightforward, right? The idea is someone has a sword honed in on me. I do not like it, so I'm going to step up, hit the blade out of the way, and I'm going to go in for that center cut. Make sense? So one thing I'm also going to do at this point is, so I'm going to show you the combination, right? So this is one way you can apply it, but I'm also going to show you again how you can get out of it, right? So if you know someone being like, oh, you hit me out of the way, this is going to be something that you can do, right? So for example, in the clip, we're going to be able to come up with our block, right? So we're able to again have something, between the opponent and my impending death, right? So this is going to be one way we can do it, but for each of these individual clips, I'm going to have like a quick counter example, right? So I'm going to show you what you can do and what you can do against that thing. So let's take a look. So this is going to be the 45 block for forms 3 and 4. So I guess without the partner, it just looks like, again, moving with it, center cut, or in form 4, moving against it, center cut. So if we're here, so it's really, at least at this point, think about 3 different ways of thinking about it. So the first one is kind of how most people kind of interpret it, right? So if we're both in defense, we're kind of like trying to get a good distance. I don't like having this tip right there because obviously if I move forward, he can just stab me in the throat or stab me anywhere. I just want to get out of the way. What I might do is just snap it out of the way, and if I'm fast enough, I can maybe get him. But if you're actually up against someone who's cognizant, I'm assuming you are, right? If I'm hitting here, he doesn't want to die. If he sees me doing this, he might deflect me. He might try to do dispatch me pretty happily, right? Now that said, this is the more canonical version. Someone's right there. I don't like it. 1 and 2. If he's thinking about it, he's not going to die, right? I can also go the other way. 1, 2. But now, so this time, actually try not to die. Sure. Right? Without tripping. Again, right? Right? It's pretty easy, right? It's pretty easy not to die if you just see someone winding up this way. You can just do anything really from here because we're not in killing distance yet. I need to move in again, and at this point, he has the initiative. So the way that the Federation usually counters this idea, so they introduce the idea of doing this against an opponent, how they kind of expect you to kind of play against it is, if they give you that 45 block, notice if my tip is on this side, all I need to do is glide backwards with an 11 block. So allegedly, if you're giving me that center cut, I can move in this way. Now, obviously from here, I'm not in a great position, because now I'm on defensive, he's trying to push me in. If you really want to, you can maybe collapse my sword, right? Now that said, if I'm smart about it, I can do what's called a peasant's cut, move across this way. But the more canonical Federation way of kind of like defending against that is, again, if you hit my sword one way or the other, Notice my tip is on this side. I'm going to slide back here, give me that block. Now that said, there are a couple other things you can do from here. So if it gives me that 45, so I guess slowly, just kind of like here, I can use this tip. Again, if he's moving for that center cut, bang. Right, so you could do that. You need to be pretty close to do that though, right? So if we're at like a good cutting distance, you get my tip out of the way, I want you to really move in, cut in. So again, that's kind of like assuming a little bit more from your opponent. There's a lot of ways you can kind of not die from the same kind of 45 block. The second application is a little bit more application-y, right? So it's not just from a standstill and the person who's receiving the cut can very easily not die. This is going to be a little bit different, right? So this is more working in your favor as the defender, as the one going through the form. The idea is someone's giving you a center cut, right? They have forward momentum, they're trying to actively kill you. What you're going to do is strike the sword out of the way. So again, not deflect that way, right? So just enough that it can graze, maybe not graze, but like be deflected past you. So their momentum's still going to be going forward, and then you can go in for your strike. This is going to be working again more in your favor because you're just deflecting motion as opposed to completely moving a whole object. The other way is, this is also canonical. He's actually giving me a cut. I'm going to intercept it here and strike it. So his forward momentum is already being spent, and as he spends it, it's going to keep allegedly moving that way and cutting this way. Now if we kind of speed it up a little bit, I'm actually going to go the other way. If we give me that center cut, I can just like kind of rush in this way and like either punch him, drag through, but it's going to be not great for you, right? Now if you want to, you can probably grapple, right, if you really want to, but at this distance, I would have again the initiative over him. So just like what we did before, so if it gives me a center cut, I could intercept it this way. Again, coming in for that center cut if I want to. But if he does the same thing against me, it's actually not too bad to actually get out of that, right? So if I'm coming in, giving that strike, all I need to do is like glide around. So think about the Great Mountain Cut around the head, this way, right? So once again, so if I give you that cut and he deflects me, and come in his back, right? That's again assuming that I'm kind of thinking about angles and all that fun stuff. The third technique is going to be a little bit more upper level because it's going to be working on techniques that really take a while to hone to the degree that you need in order to really execute it pretty effectively. So this is assuming that both you and your opponent are actually fairly skilled. So there is a particular technique that you both need to be able to use, and that is what's called pressure. So again, the idea with this is we're both in kenjok. I'm exerting my pressure forward. I'm trying to dislodge him, not necessarily with my sword manipulation yet. I'm just kind of push him forward, and then I'm going to manipulate that one way or another for me to again use that pressure again against my opponent. So this is going to be a little bit more nebulous if you're not sure really what's going on. But I mean, take a look, give it a try, and have some fun with it. Versus a third way. So this is again going to be a little bit more on the slightly more Japanese aspect or kendo aspect because this is both of us exerting pressure on each other. If we're here, right? So normal Gumdo fighting is a fist distance between us. This would require us kind of trying to pressure each other. Right? So I'm trying to push forward. He doesn't want to die. So this is not sideways. It's forward motion, trying to really get that initiative. Now if I want to, I can actually use his pressure. So when I do that, notice he moves out of the way. I can come in this way, bang, right? So again, I guess a little bit closer up, right? So if we're here, up, you're gonna strike. So again, almost looks like that 45, striking. You're gonna grind in this way. So this way, again, I'm gonna get his wrist. He's not gonna be able to use that against me. At this point, I don't really need to step forward again to strike. I can just do 1, 2 if I want to. But at least in terms of the form, you can't, right? So we're here, we're pressuring and pushing forward, pushing, and then 1, 2, like so. And you can also do that the other way. It's a little bit weirder. So either you have to start on the other side, which feels weird because at least if you're used to fighting the other way, a little bit strange, but still something you can do for that. So those are, again, 3 different potential ways you can kind of play with that pressure. So we just said, we just worked on the pressure block, right? So again, he's going to do it against me. He's going to come in. He's going to come in. If he wants to, he can hit my wrist. He can go for my neck if he needs to. So you might imagine there's got to be a way to not die from that, right? So we're kind of like showing you applications to apply against someone else. And this is something you can do so that you don't die from it. So if you do it nice and slowly, so if he does the same pressure, he comes up and over. All you need to do, follow the momentum this way. Now, if he's really dedicated to that downward motion, I can even land it up against his neck if I need to. Hopefully, not wearing chest protection, that's fine, right? Right? Now that said, yes, I have his neck, but he can actually easily, take care of me as well. So it's not ideal, right? But ideally, he sees this happening, he's like, yeah, don't, you want to back off, man? And kind of like go from there. But these are, again, a couple of ways you can kind of, again, not dive in the same situation. So be safe, stay humble, and keep training. Haidong!